Starbucks right now. Sorry about all that, Sam Amick, as I am in just to reset Portland City Center, buying Kings fans coffees at Starbucks right now. We're all celebrating. We're bringing a piece of Sacramento up here. And Sam, you're a journalist with a capital J. That's for sure. You're a journalist with a capital J. You're a real life national journalist. But you can't tell me going back to your roots at the Sacramento Bee, living in Elk Grove, having drunk neighbor John come over at all times of day and yammering at you and all the things that you've got going on, that you can't tell me you didn't drop a little bit of that capital J last night and enjoy yourself a little bit.
I did enjoy it, my friend. I'm happy for you guys. I didn't have a jalapeno in my coffee like you do.
Yeah.
You did get me, though, not to go backwards too much. My goodness, that moment with your dad was pretty cool. And that honestly, the emotion for the fans is the thing that has been fun to watch. Obviously the other night you had all that anticipation in the home game and a lot of people hoping they'd get it done there. And it was kind of a anticlimactic in that sense. But, you waited 16 years, Kings fans can wait a couple more days. And I'm happy and I tried to write this today. It's just remarkable to me from a life standpoint, just how long 16 years is. I went down memory lane and in my column and started trying to share just thoughts about that stretch of time, and whether it's personal life with family stuff or in the Kings ecosystem. I had a line about the late great Marty McNeil, the late great Pete Carrill, the late great Wayne Cooper, all these faces and names and people that were there at the beginning. And like I tried to say too, the thing that makes me happy for the Kings fans the most is that, and this is in my best Allen Iverson voice impersonation, is like, they weren't asking like not a championship, like a playoff berth, the thing that 16 teams get every single year evaded this team for 16 years. And that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. And to that point, Sam, I mean, I don't blame certain teams, but if you've been there 5, 6, 7, 8 years in a row, you kind of expect it. Where this organization, and you even said playoffs, Sam, kind of the thought before this year was, can they even, flirt with the play-in game? Like, expectations have been just killed so much because of the past failures. Not only did they get there, they've soared through. They've got home court, at least in the first round. It's quite a turnaround that all accumulated last night into just an incredible evening.
No, it is. And credit to this particular team, because you kind of hit on something interesting there. In terms of my own interest, I did have this thing in the back of my mind this season, like, man, it's going to be really annoying if they only get in the play-in tournament and then let's say they lose. And then there's like the debate, like, well, did that end the streak? Well, no, that's not the playoffs. That didn't end the streak. And so to have this team be so legitimate, to be on track to be a third seed, to be not even beyond the standings, to be from a personality standpoint, from a stylistic standpoint, to be so much damn fun to watch, really to have shades of the old Jason Williams, Chris Webber teams in the late 90s. And, you're talking about De'Aaron Fox, which, give a hat tip to De'Aaron, because the guy who I questioned, a lot last year, did not think he could get to this level. And I see Dave was on board with me. And Sabonis coming in, but De'Aaron, you're talking, he goes to get married last summer, and you guys know this, and he's at this wedding. It's supposed to be the happiest day of your life, and I think it was for him and his wife, per se. But Bam Adebayo is there, Jason Tatum is there, players like that, his buddies who he came up with, and they've been to the finals. They've been, sniffing championships, and he hadn't been in the playoffs. I think that's actually something that even non-hoopers can relate to. Like, anybody in your class who is just going on to bigger and better things, and you feel like you're kind of stuck in the mud, to go from that to this is for me really impressive as far as De'Aaron goes.
Sam Amick of The Athletic joining us. And Sam, I know you've got to keep any biases aside. You don't have bias. You cover everything fair. But I love it. Mark Spears is another that was really on the wagon a little bit early. But to you, just kind of going back to where we started, and just because I get personal doesn't mean you have to, but forgive me for this. if my math is right, just you talk about timestamps. Let's see, Ryder, your oldest, I want to say, was in diapers. I don't think Landon was even here yet.
No, Ryder wasn't alive.
Yeah, and you've had like many of us, family members no longer with us, rest their souls, that there's so much that has changed in life between the last time that it is basketball. We don't want to say we're curing cancer or saving world hunger here, but it also it speaks a little bit to mortality, and it speaks a little bit to just both for the younger generation and older generation, having those timestamps, and in this case, having a timestamp of happiness for once with the Kings.
Yeah, and I think the joy is the point. Your mom felt some joy, and I'm not trying to get you jalapeñoed again.
That's fine.
Your mom felt some joy in an otherwise challenging time. My version of that, and I wrote this today, it was hard to write. I've never written it, was in 2009, and I think I told you guys last week that I went up to the old Arco site a couple weeks ago because the Suns were there practicing. And, of all the memories, for me, all I could think about was the day my dad passed away. Damn it, you got me now.
Sorry.
And because I was at a game. It was Kings Bulls 2009. I find out at halftime, and I'm in that Kings space, and I'm outside, losing it in the bushes. That's the life stuff. And, to spin it forward with my kids. Yeah, I mean, my oldest was born about 5 months after the Kings' last playoff berth. I was watching and listening earlier, Dave, when you were asking a caller if he had any reservations about bringing his kids up as Kings fans, because you clearly have had those thoughts. As you know, that I've kind of been the opposite story. I got bandwagon fans, like they've been Warriors and they were not Kings at all. And if I'm being honest, they probably poked fun at the Kings through the years. Well, guess what? They're looking for that beam now. And so that part changes. But it's the bigger than basketball stuff. And it's funny because for all the pitfalls that this team has experienced during Vivek Ranadive's tenure, and there have been a lot, I think he deserves credit now. And beyond the success of the team, I got to admit that, his general idea of the arena being the gathering place that he envisioned years and years ago, and these talking points that over time, we kind of probably grew tired of hearing, where, okay, we get it. It's going to be a communal fireplace and this and that. And there's some eye rolling at, back then. I think about that now when I go out and I see all these folks just looking up at the beam like it's going to, UFO's about to land. Like, damn it. Like they actually did it, and that is the vibe. That is the experience. And as somebody who lives here and who cares about the community, I think that's just fantastic.
Yeah, and Sam, thinking about you sharing your story about your dad, Dave, with his dad on the air, and everybody whose family, any connection people have with the Kings and their family, kids, spouses, sisters, brother, whatever it might be, it feels so family oriented. And I've been amazed by Mike Brown. He kind of brought that up last night pregame, just knowing the gravity of what it would mean to the community for a guy that's been here 1 year. And then also still like coaching his team that way, like celebrate it and acknowledge it. But also it feels like, all right, we did that. Now let's move on to what's really going to matter. I've been impressed how he's been able to handle all the elements of what this means to everybody, yet push forward to get the most out of his team. I think he's done a masterful job in handling that part of this.
Well, and to kind of add on to that, Jay, it takes a special individual to run the basketball team in a very capable way, like he has, but also, by the way, be a pretty damn good face of a franchise. And from a communication standpoint, to be the type of personality who can bring people along with you for the ride because of the way that you carry yourself in press conferences, because of the way that you communicate. And they hit, they knocked it out of the park with the hire from that respect. Because listen, if you would have had a Tom Thibodeau type who came in here grunting and growling his way to a playoff berth, would the fans really cared if he won the press conference? No, they wouldn't have. But it is, I think, for the fans, a little cherry on top that the guy is so much damn fun. Like he's just good spirited, and and again that positivity is the part that I think is really cool. Again, not to go backwards too much, but my biggest takeaway, guys, is like, not to make it about my path, but like I literally changed careers partly because the negativity around the Kings was wearing me out. They lose the playoffs, or they're out of the playoffs for 4 years from 7 to 10. And from a human standpoint, all the people working for the franchise, like, you're covering folks who are not feeling good about, what they're doing. Tack on another 13 years to that. It's exhausting. And this now is obviously a breath of fresh air.
And now you know why Jason and I are such nut jobs, Sam. And, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you. It is a very different show today for obvious reasons. And honestly, it seems like dads and family are the theme here. But you said it about Marty, and I was thinking about him last night, and I keep thinking, I don't know what the exact words would have been, guys, but it would have been something like, "Hey man, don't break your arm trying to pat yourself on the back. There's more games." Something like that.
I mean, you already ran into trouble with the FCC today. Marty would have been. Sure.
No, I ran into trouble with the FCC today.
That's right, Marty. We would have had to have pre-recorded Marty so we could edit it through. Make sure you check out The Athletic. As always, they're fantastic. Curated sports content. Fantastic price for most people. And even for me, I get my money's worth. That's why I've got 2 subscriptions. Sam, we appreciate you. And obviously, we got end of season awards. We got the end of the season itself. We got seeding. We got playoffs coming up. So we got a lot to talk to with you about over the next few weeks. Thanks for your time, my man.
I appreciate you guys. Since we're doing shout outs real quick, and I see the Jiffy Lube logo here, it was fantastic seeing our guy Matt Graham at the game the other day. Matt and I, as you know, Dave, we shared high schools together back in the day. He was in my sister's class. So fantastic human, and happy for guys like that.
Can't say it enough, Sam. You're absolutely right. We addressed that earlier. It can't be addressed enough what Don Fowler and what Jiffy Lube have done for this Kings community. Thank you, buddy. Say hi to the family and even your bandwagon little kids, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Enjoy. See you.
Take care. We'll take a break. When we come back, an hour 45 left. Your phone calls at 1-800-920-1140. And when we return,